Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I know it's been a long time that we met last time, but I'm trying my best to be consistent on this channel and in the series of being consistent, the very first topic which I wanted to talk about was what are the monthly expenses. So somebody who is actually coming to the UK, or like if you're already a student and you're thinking that okay, well, if you shift once you've graduated, once you've got your job, what might be your living expenses might look like, right? So that's the intent of this video. I want to explain you that how much I used to spend as a student, and now as you all know, I've actually already told on this channel that I've actually been graduated, I've got my job, I'm working full time, and now my expenses have slightly changed, and that's the comparison which you might want to have, that because that's everybody's dream, right? To study in here and get a job and then see how the life goes on after that, okay? And that's exactly what you're going to get. The second thing is I will not just talk the numbers, I'll also talk my thinking behind my expenses, so that there's something to take away, there's some information in this video, right, for you guys. So the very first expense which is on my list is on the accommodation. So this is an expense which you can't do a lot about. This is always going to be a fixed expense, whether you are a student or whether you've got a job, you've been graduated and you've got a job, right? So on terms of accommodation, as a student, I used to spend around £500, and I was based in Glasgow, Scotland. And now, since I'm working, I've shifted my location. So before I was in Glasgow, now I've shifted to Newcastle, which is in England. But general opinion has been the living cost is actually lower in England versus in Glasgow. So if you think about living in a student accommodation in Glasgow, so I used to pay £500 in 2018, 19, 20, but now the minimum would be £600 in Glasgow. And if you look in Newcastle, you can easily get an accommodation even for £400, bills and everything included. But since I'm a professional, I can't stay in student accommodation anymore, and my expenses is £525 a month. So you can see that since I've got a very well-paying job, I haven't dramatically increased my lifestyle. I'm still living in like a one-bedroom where I've got a shared kitchen and a shared bathroom. So I haven't like sort of got a very luxurious room where I've got everything included in it. Still very simple life where I'm like still having a kitchen in the sharing and so on. So I haven't increased my expenses dramatically over here. Somebody who's actually coming to the UK looking for accommodations, Amber Student is a really great website. It's a marketplace of student accommodations. You can head down to their website, the link is mentioned in the description of this video, and they've got amazing cashback offers as well. So click on the link, go to Amber Students and book your accommodation. The second expense on my list is the food. So as a student, I was very conservative with my expenses because we are on a very limited budget when we are as a student. So I used to spend around £100 on my groceries. This is not eating out, this is purely groceries where I'm assuming that I'm cooking myself. And I used to cook, well, I don't used to cook myself, but I had really good flatmates, and we used to do like a contribution where everybody used to cook together. And so I wasn't the best at cooking, so I could help them with maybe chopping the vegetables and so on, but there was somebody else who was cooking actual food, but then we just contributed around £100 to do that. And since I've now as a working professional in England, I'm spending around about £150 on my food expenses. It might be slightly higher, but I think on average it might be close to around £150. Then comes the eating out. How much am I spending on eating out? So as a student, I used to minimal spend. So we didn't used to go like on weekends to crazy parties or like go to restaurant now and then. I didn't used to do that. So still like if I have to but still I used to like order a takeaway or something, right? So it might be around about £50, which I would be spending as a student. But now as a working professional, I'm spending somewhere around £150 eating out. Sometimes it even goes higher, but it really depends on the month itself. So for example, sometimes we might have birthdays of my friends, like October is a really big birthday month, or I might have a social outing with my colleagues. That's the time when you tend to spend a lot of money, or you might just go on a party sometimes, like since you're working as a profession, so that you might just want to go outside. So now it's like slightly increased to £150 on that one. Sorry for the abrupt pause. So I wanted to make sure that if you're finding this video useful, make sure to like and then also subscribe to the channel if you're new to this channel, right? Well, if you're new to the channel, let me know if you're new, because maybe in my next video I can give you a bit more of context that who I am and what am I doing and so on, because I've already made videos on that. But let me know if you're a new subscriber. It'll be so exciting to know that who are the new people who are joining. So maybe comment your university you're coming in and which place you're coming to, right? So my next expenses is on subscriptions. As a student, I didn't had a lot of subscriptions. Like I didn't have Spotify, didn't have Netflix, I didn't have any of these things, okay, because I was so much focused into my studies, working, and then for all the subscriptions. So since I was staying in a student accommodation, we used to have this centralized television space, centralized theater space, which already had a Netflix. So if I had to anyways use Netflix, I used to always go there and watch some movies. And then I used to have my friends, we also used to have like a PS5, Xbox, which we contributed and got it. So we used to like generally play those kind of games and like spend some money on the CDs and so on. But I didn't have any kind of subscription to like Spotify, Netflix, all those things which I right now have. So right now as a professional, I've got like £100 around a subscription, which includes my gym membership, which is around about £20. It includes my Canva subscription, where I make YouTube thumbnails, around £10 or £15. Netflix, another £20. Amazon Prime, and there are like few others which I've subscribed to, right? So it's about £100 on the subscriptions. Now comes the travel expenses. As a student, I made a conscious choice that I was living close to my university. I wasn't living very far off because I wanted to make sure that I'm like saving some money on my travel expenses. And due to that sort of thinking, I didn't have any expenses on travel. Whereas now, as a working professional, I'm staying in Jesmond in Newcastle, and my location is a bit far off. So before I used to I bought my bicycle in here. So before I used to just cycle last year in the summers, but then as you go towards the winter, it starts becoming a bit chilly and there's a risk of ice on the roads. So I stopped cycling. So I now take my metro. And on metro, I spend around £80, but sometimes it's just like it's raining. So on those days, I won't take metros. I will just take Uber, and on which I spend around £70. So I spend around about £150 on the travel expenses in a month. And now comes the last section, which is quite important, which is on investments. As a student, minimal investments, because most of the money which I used to earn, it used to be going towards paying my fee. And as a result, I don't have any student debt. Okay, that was really good financial planning on that side. Now, as a working professional, a lot of my money goes into investment. So I invest around about, there are like two different things. There's some money which goes into shares and the stocks, which is around about £300 in a month. And I would invest in mutual funds, not mutual funds, sorry, index funds and the individual stocks. And then also there's a £450 which goes to my emergency fund. So I'm also building an emergency fund which can help me to cover for my 6 months, just in case if I lose this job, I still have money for 6 months that I don't have to worry about it. I can still continue with my basic necessities, and for that I'm building my emergency fund, and every single month I contribute around £450 to that one. Now maybe let's do a quick total. I don't know what the total is, so I would be showing it somewhere on the screen. You can see that whatever the total is, I know that as a working professional my expenses would have shoot off, whereas as a student I used to live a bit more humble life because I knew what goes in, it has to go out for my fees. And whereas as a working professional, I've like divided it into fixed expenses, there's some good money going into the investments, and then there's also a big chunk which also I've got like savings, which is just in case if I need that money, is always accessible in my bank. It's not tied up to a FD, like a fixed deposit, for example, in an emergency fund, right? I need to have that some money which is spare. That's the money which I can maybe use for traveling, going to India to visit my friends and family members and so on. So this was the total, and let me know if you want another video on my salaries or like anything related to finances sort of thing. You can comment down below and I can share more on it. If you got any other ideas which you want me to talk more about, feel free to comment that as well. Thank you very much and best of luck.